Hello, everyone. Recently, Charlie Baker's administration ordered that kindergarten through fifth grade reopen public schools on April 5th. And as a result, all Winchester public schools will be opened on all Winchester elementary public schools will be opened on April 5th. In light of that news, I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Andrea Phelan, who is the principal of Ambrose Elementary School here in Winchester, MA. So without further ado, I'd like to first start off by saying thank you, Ms. Phelan, for taking this call with me, and could you please provide a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here to speak with you about the reopening.
Of course.
My name is Andrea Phelan. I am a lifelong resident of Winchester and a product of Winchester Public Schools. I had three children also go through Winchester schools, and I've been in education for quite some time now. I have worked in many capacities in the district as a teacher, an assistant principal, and now as a principal. And I'm happy today to answer any questions you have about our return.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, could we just start off by you just giving us generally how you feel about school reopening? I know it's a lot, especially in the last few weeks, because it's just all kind of piled in like all of a sudden. So, just what are you going through right now?
So we have a lot of mixed emotions. They were very, very excited and ready to welcome the students back. Along with that comes a lot of hard work and a
Right.
little bit of anxiety on the role of both myself and all of the staff that are here in the building. But we are really feeling great today about the return. We feel like we've done a lot of work in the past 2 weeks that have us fully ready, and we're super eager to welcome all the kids back together on the 5th.
That's great to hear. Now, just out of curiosity, will people be returning full time, just like back to normal, except wearing masks, as it was like last year, or will you be like easing into things with a bit of a schedule change in order to accommodate for COVID?
So at the elementary level, there aren't too many scheduling changes because we're in the hybrid model and
Right.
both cohorts A and B are returning.
I see.
But in addition to those students, we have some remote academy students who have now made the decision to come back into the building. So there are some scheduling changes and a few differences. We will have to maintain 3 foot distance during any class time and be masked. And then during lunch times, we will have to maintain 6 foot distance.
Right, right. Um, so during lunch, will are there going to be more lunches than there were previously to spread out more kids? Because I do know it's harder on a high school level, given that there are much more kids in the high school. But with lunches, how has the space been? Have there been any issues with that?
Well, yes, but we're getting super creative here. So we have used every surface imaginable that we can find in the building to put
Right.
into both our cafeterias and our gym. And our gym currently has to seat 71 students at its largest lunch. So we were extremely fortunate that we did not have to change our lunch schedule, but it did take some creative processes to get us where we are today. But the students here that have been here all year, they know the routines. And so I'm hopeful that it's just us coming together and we'll make it all work.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's great to hear. Will learning be any different in light of COVID? For example, will certain subjects be offered that weren't previously offered, or are certain subjects removed because we're going fully back in person? Additionally, like things like clubs, I know there aren't that many in elementary school, but I remember I was doing like I was in a play in fifth grade. And I'm pretty sure there was some after school music stuff that they offered. So are those kind of off the books, or what's the deal with that?
So the classroom looks a little bit different, I'm not going to lie, because all students, it kind of reminds me of 1950 if you were to look at a picture of a classroom, because all of the students do need to face the same direction to mitigate the spread if
Right.
there were ever, heaven forbid, a COVID case. So some of the activities in the classroom, such as like station learning or games students play, are somewhat limited, but we are hearing good news that if they are under 20 minutes, students will be able to participate in those activities. The other good news is that children will be able to venture through their specialists So they will be going to the art room, the music room, which is really great, and the library for us to hear. And PE, because our cafeteria is now in there, we'll be going outside, but with the warmer weather, it should work out really well. As far as after school or extracurricular things, we haven't done too much this year, but we're excited that we have our garden, and our fourth graders are working in the garden, and we're doing a service learning project. So that is now taking place.
That's awesome to hear. Did you find or are you finding that it might be more difficult to reopen with elementary school kids rather than high school kids or vice versa? Or do you feel that high school kids might be more difficult just because, I mean, there's so many different factors. High school might be more difficult because there are more things to consider, whereas elementary school kids might be more difficult because they're still kids yet. They're still kids. And so you'd like, what have your thoughts been on that?
I have mixed feelings on that. I think both levels have different complexities that they have to face. So I think it's a lot of work in both circumstances, and we're tasked to make it work, and we will. So I think that, we've been planning probably all year, as Dr. Evans will tell you, in the hopes that we would be able to have this kind of a return. And likewise, I know that the middle and high school also have ideas, and hopefully they'll return quickly behind us.
Right. And for social distancing, I know that you did mention quickly that there would be 3 feet in classrooms, 6 feet during lunch. Are there any other new or policies that are being put in place due to high school or sorry, elementary school reopening or
Not especially. Some of the things have been lifted as far as surfaces. So in the beginning, we were nervous about library books and things of that nature, and putting them in bags and leaving them for so many hours. And now we're learning that, the surface isn't too much of a factor. So some things are lessening for us, and it's opening things up a bit more for students.
right? So I do know that this might not be feasible, especially at this level. But for example, I believe in colleges, whenever a teacher needs it, there's a COVID test administered to them in case they feel anything is wrong or whenever they feel like they want one. Will that, or maybe on a less extreme level, but will that be offered to elementary school teachers or?
So, in speaking with my nurse, she does have the capability to test staff with a rapid test, not a PCR test, which is what we're required to have in order to be here to know for sure that we're safe and virus free. The good news is here at Ambrose, I can speak to many of the teachers have already received at least one of their vaccines. And yes, it's great. And also our staff, our lunch staff, our custodial staff, and so we're hopeful by the end of May, just about everyone in here will have 2 doses of a vaccine.
That's
So
yeah,
that's ideal.
yeah. And one more thing, as for testing, I know that you mentioned that you did have a few COVID tests like that can rapid test. What will the frequency of testing be? Like, is it a structured like once a month we'll test all the teachers, or is it whenever you feel you need it, or?
I believe it's when people are symptomatic and feel they need it, and then they have an assessment by the nurse, and she determines whether she should provide that or not. But I will say that all of the people I've talked to in the Winchester Public Schools have been outstanding at getting tested very frequently. And I know myself included, I was fortunate to have both doses of the vaccine at this point, but prior to that, once a week or so, I would be getting tested to make sure
Right.
that I wasn't carrying anything or spreading anything to anybody.
That's good to hear. And then as for like parents and general thoughts about the reopening on the elementary school level, would you mind sharing what that is? What their thoughts are? Because I do know I can speak for at the high school level. You do have some people who are absolutely terrified of school reopening. There's a lot of controversy there whether schools should reopen. Is there a similar situation at the elementary school level, or is it more of an excitement?
I think it's definitely more of an excitement. Parents are very eager to get their students back into the class. And I also think that teachers are eager to get students back into the classroom. And I think remote learning, teachers are generally people, and they like to be around kids. And
Right.
so remote learning for many was very difficult.
Right.
And so everybody's eager. I think parents are excited. There have been a couple of, really good questions from parents about safety issues, but I think all in all, they're eager, like I said, to get their children back here.
I mean, yeah, and also, by the way, I'm hearing it now. It seems like most of the safety concerns that parents should have are being taken care of for the most part. So that's good news. And then, would you mind just sharing what your biggest what have been the upsides, what have been like the good moments, the bad moments, the good, the bad, the ugly of all the of just reopening school in general.
So one of the complex situations we face here at Ambrose is we don't have student desks. So our classrooms are very collaborative classrooms with tables that help students to socialize and think about and problem solve with one another. So we had to get very creative on how to structure the classroom setting. And I think if I said that there was one thing that kept me up at night, it would be that.
Right.
But we managed and we got through, and it looks really nice now in here. Just walked through the building, and I'm excited to say that it looks very welcoming.
That's great to hear. Would you mind sharing what the new classroom structure is with the tables, just out of curiosity?
Sure. So we don't have super large classrooms here at Ambrose, so our capacity isn't huge. When we measured out, we have at the most 21 students in each classroom, and we have trapezoids for tables. So we've configured them. If you tessellate them or move them around, we've concluded that we could get 3 straight rows,
Okay.
and then kids can sit 3 feet apart. The good news about that is it does lend for some, collaborative work for kids. They can either have the buddy that's to their shoulder or the buddy that's in front of them to work on projects
Right.
during the school day. So
And
it's nice.
that, yeah, that is good to hear. And with like I of course elementary school is more collaborative than probably any other form of schooling, than more than middle school and high school. So have there been any concerns about that? I do know that you briefly mentioned that there will be more collaborating given that there's given the arrangement of tables, but are there more restrictions on the level at which you are collaborating with them, and just in general, or have you like found a good solution for that? And if you have, like, would you mind just briefly sharing what your thoughts are about, like, more in depth about it?
So I guess one of the things that we've noted and some science tells us is to keep those kinds of conversations and collaborations under 20 minutes.
Right.
So they're quick, they're with individual students, but we haven't noticed. I mean, there is definitely a change in our typical elementary classrooms where kids have the pleasure of walking around and working and learning at their own speed. So it is a little bit more constraining, but it's not different than what they've been experiencing all year here. So it's not going to be a huge change.
Right. And for the 20 minutes thing, I do know when I was in elementary school, I'd have one teacher. That one teacher would teach me all the subjects I need to know, and I'd stick with that teacher through the entire day. So with the 20 minutes, is the way that works? So is it like 20 minutes of learning with each other, collaborating, and then you return back to your seats, or do you maybe walk outside, or what's the deal with that?
So elementary teachers are super good at giving brain breaks and movement breaks. So
Right.
they usually time things where, for example, the classroom could look like having a quick mini lesson, practicing a skill on your own, sharing what you know with another student for 20 minutes, then having a movement break. That could involve like a go noodle little video where you're kind of in your own area. I know some of the kids here have referred to their spots as their fort because they really like it. They have all their materials with them. They don't have to use their cubby outside. They have their, device with them, many students. They have a snack. They have all the materials. And so it's kind of like having your own little learning spot
Right.
that works really nicely for you.
And I can also comment that, just reflecting on my elementary school days, I feel like if I was in that situation, even though right now in my job I'll be looking at it like, yeah, that's an average day. Back then I would say, wow, I have so much freedom. It's like I'm owning my own like I'm owning my own house, which is my 1 or 2 foot desk, and so I can imagine that that would be a fun and cool experience for the students.
Yeah, and some of them really have made it their own space. You know, many teachers will say to the kids, okay, now we're going to do a lesson. You can sit on top of your desk for this lesson, or you're going to have reading time and you get to read under your desk for this. Or we've seen a lot of very creative ways to help kids learn and have fun still.
That's awesome to hear. And finally, do you have any parting thoughts that you'd like to add?
No, other than I wish that COVID would go away and go away quickly so we can all move forward and get along with our lives as we knew them before.
Right. And I could 100% agree to you.
I think, right?
So again, thank you so much, Miss Phelan, for taking this call. It was extremely informative and helpful, and I really appreciate you sharing like the behind the scenes of what goes into reopening the elementary schools, especially in these circumstances. So I wish the best of luck to the elementary schools, and let's hope we can finish off the year strong.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. And I would love to have you come and visit Ambrose soon. So thank you. It was my pleasure.